dreams and broken hearts. God, let your kingdom come. Oh, the river will run to every heart, to every home. We just want to sing a love song, sing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. We just gotta keep on singing, singing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. Out of the wreckage, faith and hope will come again. You will rebuild these walls. Beauty for ashes, rise and let your glory shine. We'll be a city on a hill. Oh, the river will run to every heart, to every home. We just want to sing a love song, sing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. We just gotta keep on singing, singing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. Singing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. We just gotta keep on singing, singing for the world to come alive. This is our hope, bright city. Going through the motions, not how I wanna live, how I wanna live. You are my devotion, it's my heart I wanna give, heart I wanna give. How can I stand still, knowing all you've done for me? I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you for the rest of my life. I'm gonna praise you forever. I will choose to praise you. I'll praise you. A slave to my emotions, not how I wanna live, how I wanna live. Against all distractions, it's my heart I wanna give, heart I wanna give. How can I stand still, knowing all you've done for me? How can I not bring an offering of praise to you? I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you for the rest All I want is to praise you for the rest of my life. All I want is to praise you for the rest of my life. All I want is to praise you for the rest of my life. All I want is to praise you, to praise you. I just want to praise you. I just want to praise you for the rest of my life. I'm gonna praise you forever. I will choose to praise you. I'll praise you. Praise you for the rest of my life. To praise you, I'll praise you. I can search around forever in a world that leaves me empty, but I'd be looking for no reason. When I have you, there's nothing missing. When it's just me, I'm incomplete. Every part of you is what I need. You're all I've got, my everything. There's no me without you. There's no me without When I'm with you, I lack nothing, 'cause you never left me wanting. God, your love will last forever, and you're never gonna fail me. When it's just me, I'm incomplete. Every part of you is what I need. You're all I've got, my everything. There's no me without you. There's no me without If I leave and stay, you still remain. Apart from you, I'm wandering. You're teaching me identity. Without you, I am nothing. If I leave or stay, you still remain. Apart from you, I'm wandering. You're teaching me identity. 'Cause there's no me without there's no me without
Well, welcome everybody to the kickoff to the Walk for Life weekend. This is the online walk rally. I'm so glad that you are here to join. My name is Daniel Tomlinson. I am the VP of Advancement at CompassCare. I've been serving at CompassCare for 11 years now, and I am thrilled to be joining thousands of pro-life Christians all across Western New York and beyond as we dip into the program tonight. Let's just pray and ask for the Lord's favor over our time together. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for what you are doing to erase the need for abortion, one woman, one baby at a time. Thank you for this opportunity to testify to your goodness. And thank you for the lives that have been saved, the hearts that have been transformed because of your people, your church acting and behaving in a way that's consistent with your character and your nature. We ask for your blessing over our time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Well, again, my name is Daniel Tomlinson, and I am so excited for this next hour that we have together. This is the online walk rally, and it's the kickoff to the Walk for Life weekend, which is going to culminate in an in-person walk on Saturday, May 1st from 9 to noon at Buffalo's Delaware Park and Rochester's Highland Park Bowl. Over the next hour, you're going to be hearing testimonies of women served at CompassCare. You're going to have an opportunity to ask questions of a CompassCare nurse about how CompassCare serves women seriously considering abortion. And you can actually, in the chat right now, you can put in your questions for that time. Please use that chat feature to interact as being actively engaged by CompassCare team members. Feel free to ask whatever questions that you have. Put where you're joining from, what church you go to, why you're passionate about serving women and saving lives. So after that Q&A, we're going to be hearing results of lives saved and women served. And you're going to be getting a major update on the New York State abortion plan and a roadmap to a more pro-life New York. I want to take a quick moment and just thank the event sponsors who have completely underwritten the entire Walk for Life weekend so that everything that is raised can go directly towards mission services. Thank you so much for the courage and leadership of these event sponsors. Thank you so much for your generosity. Well, next you're going to be hearing from Kathy Maurer, who is the VP of Patient Services, and she's been serving at CompassCare for 12 years now. And she's served over 1,400 women seriously considering abortion during her time at CompassCare and helped save 970 preborn boys and girls from abortion in that time. You're going to really enjoy hearing from her. But before we get to that, here's people just like you, pro-life Christians who are passionate. Here's them saying why they're passionate about erasing the need for abortion. Take a look.
I am passionate about serving women and saving lives.
Because every human life, from the womb to the tomb, is made in the image of God, and therefore worthy of protection.
Because I personally understand what women feel when they experience an unplanned pregnancy.
Because God loves women and children.
Because every single woman and every single preborn boy and girl is fully and equally human and needs to be protected, served, and cared for.
Because abortion leaves deep, deep scars.
Because every child deserves a chance at life.
Because God's desire for his people, that's us and that's you, is that we do seek justice for that tiny baby.
Because we believe every life, no matter what age, is worth fighting for and equally valuable.
Because I believe every child is a gift from God.
Because from the moment of conception, every human being is made in the image of God.
Is of immeasurable and equal value.
And worthy of protection.
Every woman is worth serving and every baby is worth saving because each one of them is made in the image of God.
Because Jesus died for me on a cross.
Everyone, all men and women, are created in the image of God and are due the right to life.
Well, hello. My name is Kathy Maurer, and I'm the Vice President of Patient Services. It has been my absolute pleasure to serve as a nurse among an amazing team of 14 nurses, each of us together holding and committed to this one mission, to help women have their babies. Women like Carol. Now, Carol is a patient we recently saw. Just in terms of a background, she's an older mom who's been raising a couple of older sons, and her life has been pretty difficult over the course of her life, but she would say it was even more difficult this past year during the pandemic. Finances, relationships, and just life in general were just caving in on her. And she was pursuing a way actually to move out of town, start a new life, find a new job. And in the midst of all that, she found out she was pregnant. So overwhelmed with that now new challenge, she didn't know what to do. She kind of shut down and she ignored her pregnancy for weeks and even months. You see, the relationship with the father of the baby was tumultuous, to say the least. And she wasn't sure she wanted to be in a relationship that tied them together through a baby and thought that might be impossible. Furthermore, her parents had warned her about being in a relationship with this young man, and so she was afraid to even tell her parents that she was pregnant. So the shame and the fear, she just shut down. And she ignored that pregnancy and remained in a place of denial for quite a while until push came to shove, and she just, in desperation, reached out to a notorious abortion agency out of state where she knew she could get a late-term abortion. And she spoke with the abortionist, and he promised that he could take care of her, but he needed some specific information from her first. She had no prenatal care, and so she needed an ultrasound to confirm the viability of the pregnancy and how far along she was. Well, in an effort to help her, the abortionist went online, searched in her area, which is the Buffalo area, and discovered a medical office that would perform a free ultrasound for her. He unknowingly referred her to CompassCare. So Carol called and spoke with Jenny, one of the schedulers, and Jenny assured her that we could help her, understand more about her pregnancy and get an ultrasound and talk through the options and get a medical consultation to help her process this before she made the decision. Carol agreed because we could see her the very next day and our services are free. So that made sense to her. When she arrived, she was greeted with a warm smile of our receptionist. She was escorted to a medical exam room where she shared the struggles and the stress and the circumstances of her life. She, of course, agreed to an ultrasound. And it was on that exam table when Carol began to soften. And I suppose that makes sense because she was seeing for the first time her 32-week-old son. She saw him moving around and sucking his thumb, and then she heard this. Now, for many women who hear and see their baby for the first time, they gasp or even start crying. But for others, like Carol, they're more reserved in their response, although no doubt there's this conflict between reality and the decision already made. So Carol, after the exam, shared a little bit more about her circumstances, and there was some conversation around options. She said, absolutely, I will not go through an adoption process, and I don't see my way towards raising another baby. So I think abortion is the only option. Nonetheless, we were encouraged because she did agree to follow up with a Buffalo area OBGYN, someone we collaborate with because of her support of the mission of CompassCare. So that was a promising connection. Unfortunately, Carol did not return for her appointment at CompassCare in spite of our attempts to reach out to her. So we weren't sure what the outcome would be. And we reached out to the church, to you, through PrayerNet, a prayer request network, and hundreds of you came and began to plead on behalf of this patient before God, asking for a miracle for Carol and for her son. I wasn't going to share this story because I didn't know the outcome. But I just found out Carol never had the abortion. She's still pregnant. She's planning to deliver her child really in the next couple of days with the assistance of this Buffalo area pro-life OBGYN. I am thrilled that I got to tell you this story and that we can rejoice together. Thank you for your part in her victory story and the part you play in the stories of so many patients that we see. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for that story. That is awesome. It's because of stories like Carol's that CompassCare exists to help women navigate their unplanned pregnancy, to help serve them through that decision-making process with the hope and the goal that they will choose to carry that child to term. And it is exciting just to hear fresh stories like that just happened this week. For those of you who are just joining, my name is Daniel Tomlinson. I am the VP of Advancement at CompassCare, and I am so excited that you have decided to join the online walk rally. 2020 was an interesting year, and as the world ground to a halt, New York declared abortion an essential service. And pro-life Christians here in New York did not shrink back. It's because of your passion and dedication that CompassCare remained open throughout 2020, never closed down for a single minute, not for one day through the entire year, and continued to serve women because women were even more at risk for abortion than ever before. And again, because of your passion and your dedication, more lives were saved than ever before in 2020. It was a record-setting, life-saving year with 390 preborn boys and girls saved from abortion, a 15% increase over the year before, which was previously a record-setting year. 191 women submitted their lives to Christ when invited to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, where they submitted their lives to Christ and received the gospel. 191 women, 35% increase over the year before. Not only that, but on top of that, the church in Western New York raised over $500,000 through the 2020 Walk for Life. The goal this year is to serve 1,025 women seriously considering abortion in both the Buffalo and Rochester office, and to expand to a third abortion hub city. You're going to be hearing more about that in just a little bit. And we are already at 78% of the goal of $584,000. It's going to cost $584,000 to serve 1,025 women and expand to a third abortion hub city, and already at 78%. Thank you so much to everybody who has already given. If you are interested in investing financially, you can do so now by going to CompassCareWalk.com. It costs $570 to serve one woman at risk for abortion. You can go to CompassCareWalk.com to give now. Next, you're going to be hearing from Jim with a history of what's been accomplished by God's people over the last several years. Jim?
Well, thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Kathy, for that wonderful story. As Daniel said, my name is Jim Harden, and I am in my 20th year of service as CompassCare's president and CEO. You and I are here to forge a more pro-life future. And, despite how wonderful these stories are, and I get to hear them a lot, it's not these stories that we just heard that keep me coming back, that have kept me coming back every day these last 20 years. What keeps me coming back, though, is the thousands of women who never get a chance to have a story like that, who never get a chance to engage ethical medical care from people like Kathy. We live in a nation with 800,000 abortions a year in a state that leads the pack. Abortion is not just another social issue. Abortion is a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be human under God. Because we're all made in the image of God, every woman and every preborn boy and girl are equally valuable and deserving of blessing and protection. Not a sane woman alive actually wants to have an abortion. This problem cannot be solved by government. It cannot be solved by medicine. It cannot be solved by economics. Abortion is a God-sized problem only the church can solve. The Lord commands his people in Isaiah chapter 1 to seek justice, reprove the ruthless, defend the orphan, and plead for the widow. Elsewhere it says, pure and undefiled religion in the sight of God our Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their distress. And I'm here to tell you, there is no one more widowed than a woman so abandoned by society that she has to fear having her own child. There is no one more orphaned than a child whose mother feels like she has to choose between her life and her baby's. When a woman considers abortion, she says, I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I've got no other choice. And that's why CompassCare's mission is to erase the need for abortion. I want to live in a world where abortion is not the first thing a woman thinks about when she faces an unplanned pregnancy, but the last. And there can be a different world. But there is a mountain of abortion in the US, and New York is at the peak. Our vision is to forge a more pro-life future, one community, one woman, one baby at a time, right here in the abortion capital of the United States. And we have a plan to move this mountain. The church only has the facilities and staff to serve 1% of women getting abortions through pregnancy centers in New York right now, except in Rochester and now in Buffalo, where the church through CompassCare has the ability to serve 25% of all the women seriously considering abortion in any given week. To reduce abortion in New York, we need to expand the pro-life service capacity and repeat CompassCare's effectiveness in all New York abortion hubs and 3 more by 2026. Why is CompassCare uniquely suited to guide the church into a more pro-life future? Well, it's because of the pro-life passion of the church that CompassCare has been on the leading edge of this life-saving work. It is because of the church that in 2002, CompassCare became the first medicalized pregnancy center in New York, adding nurses and ultrasound technology and other things. It's because of the church that in 2005, CompassCare pioneered the first linear service model, creating a continuous improvement system to stay on the cutting edge of service. It's because of the church in 2007 that CompassCare was able to launch a national pregnancy center training that revolutionized the pregnancy center movement. It's because of the church that in 2012, CompassCare was able to open source our systems so that now over 600 pregnancy centers have adopted or adapted some form of CompassCare's service process, helping save untold thousands more babies. And it's because of the church that in 2018, CompassCare expanded the vision, the New York State Abortion Reduction Plan, cutting abortion in the nation's abortion capital with high capacity operational presence in 5 abortion hubs by 2026. And it's working. Rochester saw a 50% reduction in abortion, and Buffalo is on track to see the same. But in 2019, Cuomo horrified the nation by signing the Reproductive Health Act, making abortion a fundamental human right. But the church did not shrink back. No. You did not throw up your hands and say, New York is a lost cause. The Church of Western New York united to expand CompassCare's capacity to serve 25% of all women considering abortion in Buffalo, the largest abortion hub outside of New York City, by the way. And what happened in 2020? The church through CompassCare not only kept serving women in Buffalo and Rochester with a record-breaking life-saving year, as Daniel just pointed out, we also pursued opening services in New York City. So to tell us the story of how God is working through his people to cut abortions in Buffalo is CompassCare's regional executive in Buffalo, Dr. Dean Condon. But before that, watch this patient story demonstrating how CompassCare services are able to reduce abortion with ethical Christian medical care, one woman at a time.
So when I found out I was pregnant, I was very shocked. I was like, oh my God, because it was definitely unexpected. Then I had people telling me like, oh God, no, don't do that. Have an abortion. So I was very highly influenced to go to Planned Parenthood. When I got there, I spoke to a nurse. She told me that, well, you came here anyway, so maybe you should get the abortion. It's obvious you had the thought, so maybe you follow through. It was influencing me because I kept saying, if it doesn't have a heartbeat or if it doesn't have this, just trying to justify a lot of things that shouldn't have been justified. So I swallowed a pill, and then she gave me all the paperwork, and she was telling me like the steps, and the idea of it was crazy. And it was 4 pills. She told me to put 2 in one cheek and 2 in this cheek and let it sit there for 30 minutes. And all I could think of is you tasting death. As soon as I left the office, I started shaking, and I just was like, Jay, bro, what did you do? As soon as I got home, I seen my kids, and my kids said, Mommy, how's the baby? And I just was like, oh my God. And it's like, how do you tell them, like, Mommy's not having a baby no more? I was crying, I was shaking, and I'm looking through the papers, like, how do I stop this? Like, what do I do? Like, what can you do to get medicine or anything out of your system? And I instantly thought induced vomiting. So I ran outside, and I stuck my fingers down my throat because I was sobbing. It was a cry for prayer for God. I'm so sorry, please. So I got on the internet and I looked up, how can you stop an abortion from only taking the first pill? And I just started seeing like abortion pill reversal. I'm like, oh my God, is this real? Because like, I always find stuff on the internet. So I'm like, please God, let this be real. A nurse from CompassCare, and I believe it was Kathy, called me and she was like, hi, Jabra. I'm calling in regards because I heard about your situation and we're going to get this started. And it's going to seem like a lot, but it's going to be so fast. And it's because you only have a certain amount of time left. They get me started immediately on progesterone and told me everything. Like, it's going to be okay. We got this. We're going to try to fix this for you and make sure, you know, you're good and the baby's good. Don't worry. And when I came here out, my heart was so warm, other than Planned Parenthood, where I was very cold and I was lost. And I just felt like I could have been, you know, it was just terrible. And Planned Parenthood, the next day I called and I said, I'm so sorry. I regretted it. And they told me there was nothing they can do. If you have this baby, you're taking 100% risk at doing this and it's going to likely fail. To know that CompassCare could tell me something different and get reverse a medication like that, that's amazing. And for them to just be like, you know what? We're going to open up the office. I'm running down there now. I have a few nurses coming down there. We're getting your medicine ready. We're doing this. It's just amazing to know that somebody will go as hard as if it was their children to make sure your child is going to be alive and stay safe. You know, it was an amazing experience. And I thank God for CompassCare.
That's what it's about. So it's serving women and saving lives. I'm Dr. Dean Condon, and I've had the privilege of serving as the regional executive for CompassCare in Buffalo since 2019. I stand in awe at the way in which the Church of Western New York is expressing its pro-life convictions. Through God's blessing, the miracle of Buffalo continues. The church, through CompassCare, is reducing abortions one woman at a time. In order to reduce abortions by 50% in 5 years in Buffalo, the second largest abortion hub in New York State, CompassCare needed to acquire a facility and build a team capable of serving at least 1 out of every 4 women looking for an abortion. So CompassCare bought a facility, and the Church of Western New York paid off the mortgage, a 10-year mortgage, in just 14 months, freeing up more resources to serve even more women and to save even more babies. When it comes to nurses, the average pregnancy center after 20 years of service will have 1 nurse serving a handful of patients. In just 2 short years, CompassCare in Buffalo has a team of 8 passionately pro-life nurses capable of serving women with excellence and adept at sharing the gospel. And as a result, the Church of Western New York, through CompassCare, is on track for reducing abortions by 50% in 5 years. In 2019, the pro-life efforts in Buffalo were capable of reaching about 1 out of every 100 women seeking an abortion. Because of your passion, the passion of the Church of Western New York, now nearly 1 out of every 3 women seriously considering abortion is contacting CompassCare. With substantial investment in marketing, with a growing word-of-mouth referral based on the reputation of excellent service, the Church of Western New York is reaching the right women at the right time and in the right way. And what ultimately matters is results. Because of your commitment, your pro-life commitment, the Church of Western New York in Buffalo over the past 12 months has seen 138 women choose to have their babies. That's a 60% increase over the previous year. And during that same time, 108 women submitted their lives to Jesus Christ. That's an 83% increase. The Church of Buffalo believes that from the moment of conception, every human being is made in the image of God, is of immeasurable and equal value, and therefore worthy of protection without exception. And the Church of Western New York in Buffalo is fighting for this truth in a world that would silence you. In an age at the time of the most systemic injustice the world has ever seen, in a place in New York where for this nation abortion began, at a time with a government that is doubling down on ensuring that this injustice is not only protected but propagated. God, the Lord Jesus, has placed you, the Church of Western New York, to be the ones who make a difference. There is no one else. These results would not have been accomplished if it were not for the unity and the partnership with the Church of Rochester, who over the past several years has invested literally hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of man-hours ensuring that this dream would come true. And now that Buffalo has laid a foundation to reduce abortions one woman at a time, we can pool our resources with Rochester to help the Church of New York City, the largest abortion hub in the state and even the country, to realize the same dream of a more pro-life, pro-family community. The Church of Western New York is discovering ways to express its pro-life convictions in a way that measurably and systematically reduces the number of abortions in the community. And with success in Buffalo, it will lay the foundation and pave the way to reduce abortions across New York State. And every life that is saved will have an impact for generations to come. And every soul that is saved will have an impact for eternity. So on behalf of women seriously considering abortions and the babies you help them have, thank you.
Thanks so much, Dean, for that update on Buffalo. It is exciting what God is doing through his people in Buffalo to erase the need for abortion, to build the infrastructure to reach an enormous volume of women who are considering abortion and serve them in such a way that they have their babies. It is a privilege to be a pro-life Christian here in New York. Now, that might sound strange, but God is giving us an opportunity, pro-life Christians here in the abortion capital of the U.S. He is giving us the opportunity to shine the bright light of truth into this darkness of this great injustice. He's giving us that opportunity. And by God's grace, because of the church, CompassCare will continue to serve women and save lives. And this Walk for Life weekend is a great opportunity to take that next step. Right now, we are at 79% of the goal of $584,000, which will be enough to serve 1,025 women in both the Buffalo and Rochester office and help launch a third location. Thank you so much to everybody who has already given. Thank you for your generosity. If you are interested in going deeper, if you're interested in investing financially, you can do so now by going to CompassCareWalk.com. It costs $570 to serve one woman seriously considering abortion. It costs $570 to serve that woman with the life-saving, compassionate, and ethical medical care she needs. Well, next we're going to move into a Q&A with Kathy Maurer. So if you have questions for Kathy, put those in the chat right now. We'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. After that Q&A, Jim is going to give a major update and more details about the third location in the abortion hub. But before we get to either of those two items, there is a victory bell that is rung at CompassCare, and it sounds something like this. And that bell is rung by a nurse when she has found out that a woman has kept her baby when she's decided to carry to term. And the other day when I heard that, I ran into the nurse's office and I said, Michelle, who had just pressed the bell, tell me the story. Tell me the story of the victory that you just experienced. And here is her telling that story. Watch this.
So Michelle, tell me about the recent victory that you just experienced.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, a patient came in, and we couldn't confirm her, and she left saying she was going to have an abortion. It was but she did make a return appointment.
Okay.
And she missed it. And so I looked at the appointment queue today, and she was on there, and she came in and she said that last week she was actually at an abortion clinic during her missed appointment.
Okay.
And she didn't like what she heard about getting the pill.
Okay.
And she walked out. Crazy.
Wow. Yes.
And in the first appointment, she had accepted the Lord too.
Okay.
So he was working.
Yeah.
And she came back this morning and she wanted to continue.
Wow.
And she had some medical issues
Okay.
that make that kind of risky for her. So she's going to go to her OB, and she wanted to get in touch with our mother care team.
Oh, that's good.
And she said that being here really helped her think it through, and she was glad that she took the time to
Yeah.
to consider.
That's awesome.
And she got to see her 8-week-old baby.
8 weeks.
8 weeks, heartbeat.
Heard the
and
heartbeat.
She wanted to hear it twice.
Okay.
So it was really cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
God worked in her life and brought her back. And,
Yeah.
She's
Yeah. Keep her baby.
a baby.
And the mother care, she's getting connected with a woman from a local church to
Yeah.
help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's
She's
really neat.
supportive, and she's very shy, and she said that would be hard for her, but
Yeah.
she wants to do it.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
it was really cool.
That's awesome. Praise God.
Yes.
Oh, what a victory.
It
That
was.
is awesome.
It was because it was so. I remember feeling so down when she didn't show up last week, and then to see her on the appointment schedule today and have that happen, it's really really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Praise God.
Yep.
Well, hey, Kathy.
Hi, Daniel.
This is the Q&A. We've had a lot of really good questions coming in. Thank you to everybody who has asked questions. We're going to get to as many of them as we possibly can. Really excited just to dive into to these questions. But actually, before we jump into those, we heard a really awesome story from Jabra just a few minutes ago, talking about chemical abortions and abortion pill reversal. And just wanted to take a quick moment on that.
Sure.
Because the abortion battleground has shifted from surgical abortions to chemical abortions. And if you could just speak to that kind of shift over the last few years, that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely. In the last 15 years, chemical abortion has increased by 114%.
Right.
And about 40% of all abortions are actually chemical now. They're chemical abortions, in spite of the fact that the FDA has said that the adverse effects, there's 400% increased risk over surgical.
Right. So they're on the increase, and they're actually more dangerous for the woman than a surgical abortion.
That's absolutely right.
And then but this isn't something, I was going to say the Biden administration also recently lifted all restrictions for a chemical abortion. So
Correct.
a woman can actually get a chemical abortion, which is 4 times more risky than a surgical abortion, without ever seeing a doctor.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then, so this is a trend that has not taken CompassCare by surprise. What is CompassCare doing? We've got the abortion pill reversal. If you could just explain that real quick, just so people know what it is.
There's a network throughout the United States called Abortion Pill Reversal Network. We've been a part of that for several years, helping women who have regretted that decision to take that first pill. And through progesterone therapy, we're able to see quite a positive outcome for many, many women.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's very exciting because she and the nursing team are all towards rescuing that baby.
Yes. And like Jabra, because of the church generosity and being able to open that office in Buffalo, Jabra was able to that story is actually possible.
That's right.
Just in the last 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, that's great. Thanks for the explanation. We're just going to jump into some questions here. We have a question from Belinda who says, So 2020 was a record-setting year, but how did COVID impact things? So
Sure.
if you could just speak to how it impacted CompassCare and how it impacted the women that CompassCare serves.
Absolutely. Well, hi, Belinda. Great question. So COVID, I think you mentioned earlier, we've never actually closed our doors. We kind of assumed that the pressure of a pandemic and lockdown might actually cause women to consider abortion more, more often. And so we were intentional about keeping our doors open. And we saw more patients this year than ever, this past year, more than ever before.
Right.
And even by way of an example, I had a patient not that long ago who told me that I'll call her Ann. She told me that was her only reason for considering abortion was because of COVID. She just said it just seems like a bad time to go into a hospital and have a baby.
Yeah.
Either one of us could catch COVID. After receiving our services, however, we were able to talk it through. She changed her mind and get this, she decided to go with a home birth facilitated by a midwife
There
in
you
the
go.
area. So yeah,
Yeah.
she dealt with the issue.
It's an elegant solution.
That's absolutely right.
Much better than choosing abortion for sure.
Mhm.
Well, good. Well, let's. We've got some really good questions here. Asking is why abortion is so popular. So I think probably just trying to get at, why do women get abortions?
Sure.
Why is it so prevalent? What are the things that they're facing that make them think abortion's their only choice or best option or anything
Absolutely.
like that?
So bottom line, women feel stuck. They're imprisoned. They don't have freedom to say no to abortion.
Right.
We live in a coercive society that directs ideals. It says if you are a young woman, this is what you should aspire to.
Right.
Just today, I'll call her Jody. She came in, she was desperate and overwhelmed, a junior in college, and said, I can't do this right now. She had an ideal that she needed to fulfill, and it was too difficult for her to consider
Right.
continuing her pregnancy.
Right. Right.
So sometimes we talk about tensions too. We talk about what's really pulling a woman towards abortion as opposed to what's pulling her away or to continue a pregnancy. And in that case, with this woman, Jody, it was, I have a life, I have an ideal,
Sure.
and this pregnancy interrupted it.
Sure.
Some women feel as though the pregnancy and carrying a baby, having a baby creates too much stress on their finances, and she couldn't begin to give the proper life to her. She was like a bad life. I don't want to give my child a bad life.
Sure.
And then the last one is actually fitting for this young woman, Jody. She didn't want to tell her mother, and so there's an element of shame. I'd rather deal with the guilt of abortion than have to live with the open shame of a pregnancy that was untimely in her perspective. And so those are the three main things that we see.
Yeah, and there's a lot there, but you're basically saying there's this coercive element to her decision where she's making a decision out of fear.
Yes.
And she's making a decision because of relationships or circumstances
Correct.
that are adverse or not ideal for her.
Yeah. So Jim mentioned earlier that no sane woman wants to have an abortion. She actually feels like she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and she needs to have an abortion. Hence our mission to erase the need for abortion.
Yeah. Well, this is good. So another question that has come up is why would a woman who wants an abortion come to CompassCare where she's not going to get
an abortion? Yeah, that's a common question and a great one too. So really from her perspective, there's really three things that we look at. We're fast. She can be seen the same day or the next day.
Right.
And we're free. It's no cost to her. And then we're not Planned Parenthood.
Right. And that's the one that kind of trips people up a little bit. Could you explain that a little bit? Why not Planned Parenthood? Why is that important?
Yeah, well, you heard a little bit from Jabra. Her perspective of Planned Parenthood was a little bit like you're a number and you're
cold.
Yeah, you're cold and you're kind of corralled through the system or through the process. Conversely, CompassCare seeks to dignify the woman, and so there's quite a difference there. In fact, recently, just this week, we had a woman who called, who was quite abortion minded, but she said, "Listen, I'm going to make an appointment with you because I can't go over to Planned Parenthood." And from her own words, she said, it's a mess over there. That's what she said.
Yeah, right. So that's from the patient's perspective. How about from CompassCare's perspective? Why does a woman wanting an abortion come in?
Yeah, so we communicate to her the value of the medical intervention. There are medical questions that need to be answered before ever considering the outcome of a pregnancy, including the viability of the pregnancy. Is she actually pregnant? 1 out of 4 pregnancies aren't viable. You may have a positive test, but not actually have a pregnancy,
Right.
or a pregnancy that isn't going to end spontaneously. And then there's the issue of gestational age. That's determined by an ultrasound. We can't have an intelligent conversation around abortion without actually knowing how far along she is. And so the ultrasound would help her there. That's free and fast. And then STD testing that we offer for free. So many women who have positive chlamydia don't actually have any symptoms. And if they go untreated and have an abortion, she's at pretty significant risk for a much more serious infection.
Yeah. And so these are the things that she needs to know.
Correct.
Before she makes a final decision.
That's
so kind of
right.
step back and think through these things, get this information
Right.
before you make
That's
a final
right.
decision.
That's absolutely
Well,
right.
that actually kind of leads well into the next question, which is around there's a few different questions around these type of things. We'll just sum it up as this: is why do women change their minds? What causes them to change their minds?
Sure. Well, there's a number of reasons why a woman might change her mind, of course. One of the reasons that we see most often is just simply conviction. So you heard it in Jabra's story. She said, she just started shaking and she recognized that this wasn't
The
the
wrongness
court.
of it.
It was
Yeah.
the wrongness of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens immediately and sometimes that takes some time.
Sure.
And we
Sure.
give her time and to process and to think it through.
Yeah.
Other reasons that a woman might change her mind is that she just needed to do the hard thing. So it may be, if it's shame, it's just a matter of going ahead and talking about it. So
Sure.
recently we had a woman the other day who she said, I I can't have a baby because I'm afraid to tell my dad. We worked with her and talked with her, and eventually that week she told her dad.
Yeah.
She came back beaming because that's all it took.
Yeah.
And dad wrapped his arm around her and
Yeah.
said, "We got it together,
Yeah, praise
girl." And
God.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so they made a decision together to continue, and she was thrilled.
Right,
then.
right,
She
right.
just needed to get
Get
through
over that hurdle.
and do the hard thing.
there.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, good. We have time for just one more question. Really want to get to this question. It's one that gets asked a lot. And if we didn't get to your question, the team members who are actively engaging the chat will get to as many of them as we possibly can. But this is an important one because it gets asked all the time, and it gets to the heart of what the motor behind CompassCare is. Why does CompassCare share the gospel with women who come in?
My favorite question.
Sure.
So, CompassCare is a Christian organization first and foremost. We're founded on the gospel. Every member, whether they're the nurse or a receptionist or you, Daniel, we are to our core redeemed, saved by the grace of God. And everything we do, from marketing to patient interactions to volunteers that serve even at the walk, all of it is a display of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Right.
We just happen to use words. So we are committed to the purpose of Christian medicine, which is to heal and maintain the health of the whole person,
Right.
body, mind, and spirit. We're viewing that pregnancy in every medical condition as a plan of God to
Right.
orient her or the patient to God, right? So that is a kingdom perspective, and that's what we hold true and hold dear to ourselves, and why we are so compelled to share the gospel.
Yeah. So the gospel is not just a plug-in or an add-on to it. It's actually seeing her unplanned pregnancy as the opportunity.
That's right.
God bringing her to this crossroads of grace, where
Amen.
not only is she experiencing it, but she's also hearing it, and she's being given an opportunity to respond.
Correct.
And women do respond. Is that
Oh
correct?
my, 1 out of every 3 women
Right.
that are invited to surrender control of their life to Jesus in that moment say yes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why not? Of
Yeah.
course you would. It's the
Yeah.
best news
It is.
ever.
It
And
really
how
is good news.
unkind would it be for us if we were just to help her say yes to the life growing inside and
Right.
not help her
Yeah.
see that she
Yeah.
perhaps this
Yeah,
moment was to be
reorient
reconciled
her. Yeah.
to her creator.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good. Well, thank you. I'm glad we got to that question.
Yes.
And thank you all so much for your questions. We're going to turn it over to Jim. He's going to be just giving an update on the New York State abortion reduction plan, as well as a roadmap to a more pro-life future.
Awesome.
So, Jim?
Oh, Daniel and Kathy, thank you very much. You did a fantastic job answering those questions. You know, it's an honor to be a part of what God is doing at CompassCare. It's like you get front row seats to miracles every day. CompassCare's mission, as you know, is that we're a Christ-centered agency dedicated to empowering men and women to erase the need for abortion by transforming their fear into confidence. Again, for those of you just joining us, I am Jim Harden. I'm the president and CEO of CompassCare. To make a difference in a battle, you got to go where the fight is. A few months ago, I was speaking with a friend of mine who has been deeply invested in the pro-life movement for over 40 years. And this was the first time I had ever heard despondency in her voice. So I asked her how she was doing, and she said, you know, Jim, I just don't understand why people are leaving New York. And I said, you don't? And she said, well, I understand, the high taxes and the bad politics and things like that. But in times past, when there were issues like women's suffrage or the personhood of the Black man, people would move to the epicenter of the battle so they could have a greater impact to change the world. The greatest injustice there's ever been is happening in our day and time, and the epicenter of the battle is New York. So if they want to see change, they should be moving to New York, or at least, reinforcing the pro-life efforts here. So I think I encouraged her, and I said, there are still yet thousands of pro-lifers investing in New York, both living here and outside of New York. And you know what? Here we are. New York is, in fact, the abortion capital of the United States, with more abortions per capita than any other state, complete with the most permissive abortion laws, second only to North Korea and China. And because of that, I've heard many pro-life leaders throwing up their hands and saying, New York is a lost cause. But if abortion is an injustice that needs correcting, then New York is precisely where Christians need to be. This is where the battle is. Abortion is not just another social issue with people of differing opinions on one side or the other. Abortion represents a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be human under God. Our times can be characterized by a malady, cheapening human value in the minds of the population. Abortion is a symptom of that disease. This is not just another tragedy like Hurricane Katrina or a terrorist attack or COVID-19. Because with over 50 million abortions occurring worldwide annually, it is unfathomably, incomparably, the greatest oppression in human history. The world is not simply destroying individual lives, but oppressing the very future. Death is perceived as a solution, not only by politicians and medicos, but also, and saddest of all, by women who think abortion is the only way for their lives to continue. Abortion is a mountain of injustice, make no mistake. But Jesus said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. Abortion is too big a mountain for government to move, even if it wanted to. Abortion is too big for medicine to move. Abortion is a God-sized problem only the church can solve. It is the church of our time that God has sovereignly tasked with addressing the greatest injustice of all time. But the height of abortion will only diminish in proportion to the depth of value the community places on human life. The equal value of human life is rooted in the truth that we are all created in the image of God. There is no other basis for human dignity. That we are made in his image is the foundation of all true justice, and it's why Christians can stand with such resolve in the fickle flames of worldly passion that would burn the house of civilization to the ground. Abortion is a massive mountain. Sometimes the mountain seems too big for our resources, are seemingly too meager to move. It feels like our mustard seed of faith to move mountains is like a plastic spoon, which God gives us and says, okay, start digging. But perhaps it is in the mountain that we move where we find the resources to continue moving it. From faith to faith, grain by grain, strength to strength, stone by stone, one woman, one baby at a time. We can serve more women and save more babies. But to do so, we need to repeat what God has done in Buffalo and Rochester. We need to build the facilities and the nursing team to serve 25% of all women shopping for abortion in all the abortion hubs. We may not be able to save them all, but if CompassCare's experience in Rochester and Buffalo and in helping pregnancy centers all across the country teaches us anything, it is that we can save a lot more. All we need to do is effectively serve more women one at a time, giving her a vision of her future after having had a baby, empowering her with the ability to say no to abortion. We will not shuffle across the finish line of eternity saying, oh, there was nothing we could do. By God's grace, we will continue blazing a sacrificial, life-saving trail right through the gates of heaven. I want to see the church running so hard to the finish line that the saints and angels on the other side see us careening toward them and jumping out of the way, yell, watch out, here they come. That's what I want to see. Scripture tells us that believers of Jesus are not of a group of timid souls who shrink back in fear to avoid the good works which he has prepared for us from the foundation of the world. The good works of reflecting his image on earth through self-sacrifice for our neighbor, beaten and left for dead on the dangerous Jericho road of culture. We are those who have faith to the preserving of the soul, ours and others. The church in New York today only has the capacity to serve 1% of women seriously considering abortion in New York, except in Rochester and now in Buffalo, where we now can serve 25% of all the women who are seriously considering abortion any given week. This is the plan: to amass all the proverbial pro-life plastic spoons in New York's abortion hubs, to reach and serve 25% of women in 3 more abortion hub regions by 2026. Why 25%? Because that is the profit margin of the abortion industry. If we can cut the abortion industry's profit margin, what will happen? They'll need to diversify their services, reduce their staff, reduce their hours, or simply go out of business. And that is exactly what we have seen happen in Rochester and expect to start seeing in Buffalo and in New York City, should the Lord continue opening those doors. You know, the Lord has sovereignly placed us in a moral dark age, an age where the greatest injustice in the history of humanity is being perpetrated. Christians have been given a great opportunity to leverage the faith God has given us. But are not dark times precisely what the light of faith is for anyway? There are untold biblical stories I want to hear when we cross over the promised land. The story of Paul being stoned and left for dead, reviving and walking right back into town. Well, what happened after that? I'd like to know. Yeah, the story of Caleb, after wandering with the people of Israel for 40 years in the wilderness, going to Joshua and asking him to let him take the hill country, the land of giants and fortified cities that frightened off the Israelites in the first place. An old man wearing 40-year-old shoes. Joshua said, go take it. And Caleb did. But how did it happen? I'd like to know. We are in one of those stories of biblical proportions. Abortion is a God-sized problem only the church can solve. And I believe the people of God in eternity will be asking us about this story if we were there and what we saw and what heroics were done for so many lives to be saved for the glory of God. And like Henry V in Shakespeare's play, looking at the overwhelming odds for the battle they had in front of them on St. Crispin's Day, told his cousin, we few, we happy few, we band of brothers, gentlemen in England now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day. We are not a band of timid souls who shrink back in fear to avoid the love and good works that God has decreed that we perform on this, our St. Crispin's Day. We are those who have faith in the preserving of the soul, both the souls of women and their lives, the lives of the preborn boys and girls. And this is how we're going to do it. One community, one woman, one baby at a time. And now it is my privilege to introduce CompassCare's new market ambassador, Rich Ronald, speaking from Brooklyn to give us the promised update about CompassCare's expansion efforts into the heart of the abortion capital, New York City.
Hi, I'm Rich Ronald, the new market ambassador for CompassCare, and I'm standing here in the heart of Brooklyn, New York City. Behind me is Brooklyn Borough Hall, and off the camera that direction is the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge, which lead to Manhattan. And the building over my left shoulder is 44 Court Street. Now, that address likely means nothing to you, but in that 12-story building, scores of women each week believe abortion is their only choice. In fact, there are 15,000 preborn boys and girls that die from abortion each year just in Brooklyn alone. And there are more abortions that happen here than anywhere else in the United States. So if New York is the abortion capital of the United States, I'm standing in the heart of it. And while many heroic and innovative efforts to help women considering abortion continue here, the infrastructure necessary to serve 15,000 women getting abortions in New York City is less than 1%. CompassCare's mission is to erase the need for abortion by transforming a woman's fear into confidence. Why? Because all people are made in the image of God and are therefore equally valuable without qualification from the womb to the tomb. If sheer volume is any indicator, the greatest injustice of all time is abortion. CompassCare believes now is the time to join tens of thousands of pro-life Christians right here in Brooklyn to erase the need for abortion in New York City. With over 40 years of success in Western New York and cities like Rochester and Buffalo, CompassCare believes God is calling us to partner with the church in Brooklyn to save even more lives. It's a monumental assignment, but our God is a great big God. We believe that God, acting through his people, can cut abortions by 25% in the next 5 years. In order to accomplish this goal, the facilities and medical infrastructure need to be built to serve almost 4,000 women each year, somewhere close to this very spot. I'm wondering, how is God calling you to this life-saving effort? Is he calling you to be a part of the leadership team, the medical team, the facilities team, the prayer team, or the donor team? To find out more how you can be a part of the church, serving women and saving lives, go to nysabortionreductionplan.com and check that site often for further updates. Thank you.
Wow, that is an exciting vision, what God is doing through his people in Rochester, in Buffalo, and looking out towards the future at New York City and Brooklyn. Thank you, everybody who has joined this online walk rally. We're only halfway through the Walk for Life weekend. We're already at 79% of the goal of $584,000. The Walk for Life weekend is going to culminate in an in-person walk on Saturday, May 1st from 9 to noon in Buffalo's Delaware Park and Rochester's Highland Park Bowl. And I want to thank everybody who has given already. Thank you for the gift of your time. Thank you for those who have invested financially. If you are interested in going deeper, if you are interested in giving tonight, you can do so at CompassCareWalk.com. It costs $570 to help one woman seriously considering abortion